So here, what is the need of cooling system? What is the need or necessity of cooling system? Okay, so let us say out of 100% fuel we are burning, out of 100% fuel we are burning inside the engine, out of this 100% of fuel, nothing but heat energy. This is the 100% heat energy. Is the screen is visible to all of you, students? Students, am I audible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Yes,
Right,
sir.
right. So out of this 100% of heat energy liberated by burning the fuel, out of this 100%, 30 to 40% of heat energy is utilized as useful work. It is useful work. Remaining 70 to 60 to 70% of heat, we need to dissipate it. We need to dissipate it, right? Out of this 60 to 70%, 30% to 40% of heat is carried by the cooling water and exhaust gases. Cooling water and exhaust gases. Okay, so remaining 20 to 30% will be unaccounted losses. Unaccounted means it may be due to either radiation losses or frictional losses. Right, means out of 100 only 30 to 40% is useful work. Okay, right. So if we are in a position to dissipate this remaining 60 to 70% of heat, then only our engine or our system will work properly. If we are not in a position to dissipate this heat, so overheating is the main problem. Overheating of the engine. If we are unable to dissipate the unwanted heat from the engine, then overheating problem will arises and it will seize the engine. Okay, therefore we need effective cooling system for functioning of any IC engine. Okay, right. So now in this system, in this PPT, we are going to study about what is the cooling system, right? So if you don't dissipate the heat, what are the effects of high temperature within the engine cylinder? What is the purpose of the cooling system? Types of the cooling system, we have two types. Okay, air cooling system and liquid cooling system, and how it will work, what are the components. Okay, right. So an automobile cooling system is the collection of parts and substances, right? So if you see any system, it has certain parts and some substances. Here substance is nothing but the coolant we are using. Okay, so that work together to maintain the engine temperature at the desired levels, at the required levels. Okay, right. So that is the main purpose of the cooling system. It consists of different components: water pump, coolant, thermostat, radiator, etc. Right. So these are the some of the components of the cooling system. This system enables smooth and efficient functioning of the engine. At the same time, it will protect the engine from damage, nothing but overheating. Okay, so the main purpose of the cooling system is it enables smooth and efficient functioning of the engine, right? So even the cooling system will also increases the fuel consumption of the engine. Okay, I'll explain in coming slides. Usually the temperature inside the engine cylinder during the combustion stroke will be as high as 1600 degrees centigrade. Okay, the temperature, this much amount of heat will be generated within the engine cylinder, right? So but the parts we are using are after all aluminum and aluminum alloys and steels. Okay, these metals cannot withstand a temperature 1600 degrees centigrade, so simply they will melt, right? So therefore we need to dissipate this amount of heat as soon as possible to protect the parts of the engine. Otherwise what will happen? They will melt the parts of the engine. Okay, right. So now that is our, now this is 25 to 30 is the old one. Now we are getting 30 to 40% of the heat energy is converted into useful work. Okay, remaining is some of the heat will be carried by the exhaust gases, some of the heat will be carried by the cooling system, and some will be heat will be dissipated, that is unaccounted losses. So that may be radiation, friction. So these are the losses. This is the how the heat energy will be utilized within the engine cylinder. right? Now what are if you don't dissipate the heat, what are the effects of the high temperature, right? So due to high temperature, what will happen? Piston would be seized in the cylinder and it will stop the engine. Okay, now next problem will be if the heat is more, what will happen? The lubricating oil may burn due to the high temperature. As I told, it is 1600 degrees centigrade. It not only melts the engine parts, it also burns the lubricating oil. Okay, so the quality of the oil inside the engine will be destroyed. The lubricating oil will be corrupted. Means we can say it can burn or it can lose its properties. What properties the lubricating oil should have? It should have high viscosity. The viscosity property is going to affect if the temperature inside the engine cylinder is high. Okay, and next one will be if the temperature is very high, what will happen? The charge that enters into the engine cylinder will burn automatically without help of spark plug. Okay, so the charge which is present inside the engine cylinder during the suction stroke will burn automatically, which leads to knocking of the engine. That is nothing but loss of the power. So okay, so we'll discuss how knocking occurs, how what are the effects of knocking, how to avoid the knocking, these things in the next coming slides. Okay, so the pre-ignition of the fuel. Pre-ignition means before the admission of the spark, the charge is going to burn. That is a pre-ignition that occurs due to the high temperature present inside the engine cylinder if you don't use the proper cooling system. So these are the effects of the high temperature in the engine cylinder. Now purpose means in order to avoid or overcome the difficulties what I discussed now, right? Now to maintain the required temperature within the engine for efficient operation, okay, and to dissipate the surplus heat, excess heat for protection of engine components like cylinder, head, piston rings and valves. Okay, and to maintain the properties of the lubricating oil inside the engine cylinder, then we are using cooling system. The problems to overcome the above problems, we are using cooling system. Okay, right, types of the cooling system, right? So in order to cool the engine cylinder, we require some medium. Okay, so based on the medium, okay, the cooling system may be air cooling system and liquid or water cooling system, right? In air cooling system, we are using atmospheric air as the coolant. We are using atmospheric air as a cooling medium for cooling the engine, whereas in case of liquid or water cooling system, we are using some coolant, right? So we are using coolant for cooling the engine, right? This is the liquid system, this is the air system. Okay, now we'll see one by one. Air cooling system, right? Now, so as we know, air cooling system, it doesn't have any parts except the fins. Okay, right? So air cooling, so this will be employed in all two-wheelers. Most of the two-wheelers consists of air cooling system. Okay, so air cooled engines are engines in which heat is conducted from the working components of the engine to the atmosphere directly. So directly we are releasing the heat to the atmosphere, right? So the cylinder of the air cooled engine has fins to increase the area, right? So if you remember, the fins are, I can call fins are extended surfaces. Fins are also called as extended surfaces. Means if you add fins to the surface, what will happen? They will increase the surface area. Means they will more area is available for the dissipation of the heat. So therefore, what will happen? Due to the conduction, these fins will be will get heated, and this heat will be what we call dissipated to the surrounding atmosphere due to the convection. Okay, na? Right. So here this is the cylinder of air cooled engine has fins to increase the area of the contact. Okay, for air for speedy cooling. Okay, and the amount of heat dissipated depends upon the thermal conductivity of the material, fin material, right? Na? So it depends upon the thermal conductivity. What is mean by thermal conductivity? The amount of heat that can transferred through it, that is called thermal conductivity. So it is denoted by symbol K. The units are watt per meter Kelvin. Watt per meter. The amount of heat energy that can be transmitted through it is called its thermal conductivity. If the material having higher thermal conductivity, it can transfer more amount of heat in a less time. If the material is having less thermal conductivity, it cannot transfer at a faster rate. It will transfer, but the time taken will be more. Okay, so that is the one criteria on which the heat dissipation will depends. And second one is the fin surface area. If the area more area is available, so less time is required to dissipate the heat. If the area is less, it will take more time. Okay, and amount of air flowing, right? How speed you are running the engine, how speed the vehicle is moving, right? So that much speed the air is come and in contact with the fins, therefore the heat transfer rate will be more. Okay, so these are the factors on which the heat dissipation will depends. Okay, now we can see these are the engines. We are very known to us, all of you can we are already using these engines. Okay, so these are the fins. Usually this circular one is the cylinder, so these fins are extended surfaces over the cylinder. Okay, means they are increasing the surface area. Usually cylinder and fins are made up of aluminum alloys. Okay, because aluminum is having high thermal conductivity, therefore it can dissipate heat at a faster rate. Okay, now we can see this rectangular one is our cylinder, remaining is these are all extended surfaces for the fins, means we are adding some extra area so that more area is available for the dissipation of the heat. These are the fins and this is the cylinder. Very simple. Any doubt in air cooling system?
No, sir.
Right. The advantage is very simple, right? So in the absence of moving parts, it will be easy to manufacture. But the disadvantage is, but let us say when the vehicle is moving this direction, this part will get more amount of air, and at the back side the air may not be sufficient, means improper cooling of the engine will takes place. Okay, that is the only disadvantage, right? So it is simple in design and construction because there are no moving parts, right? So need not require any water jacket or radiator or water pump because it is simple, only air system. Okay, so and in the absence of all those things, the cost is also less. Okay, no maintenance at all. Okay, and it is more compact, it is lighter in weight. These are the merits of air cooling system. Okay, so second disadvantages are uneven cooling. As I told, when the vehicle is moving, front portion of the engine will be cooled faster as compared to the rear portion of the engine. And next, temperature is generally high during the working period. Okay, so these are the demerits of the air cooling system. In order to overcome that, we are using liquid. And usually this air cooling system will be used in light vehicles, right? All two-wheelers, most of the times we are using air cooling system. Right, now next will be water cooling system. Water cooling system, you can see this is the radiator, the blue color one is the radiator. Okay, this is the radiator hose here and here. Okay, upper radiator hose is connected to the engine outlet, this is connected to the engine outlet, and this will be connected to the engine inlet. So from here the coolant will go inside the engine. Okay, right, now when it is passing through surrounding the engine cylinders, the coolant absorbs the heat generated within the engine cylinder and it will get hot. Okay, it will get hot, thereby what happens to the density will be decreased. Always hot fluid is having lighter density compared to the colder fluid, therefore it will flow easily into the radiator, right now, through the heater core. Have you seen heater core? Right, can anyone tell me what will happen if you on the heater inside the four-wheeler? I am asking about car. So there will be two options, heater and air conditioner, AC. Right, in winter, let us say, sometimes we will use heaters also. Even in Western countries, they will use heaters because of their temperature. Right, the moment if you press the heater, what will happen? Tell me. We will get hot air. Agree, students?
Yes, sir.
Right. So the moment you press the AC button, you will get the cold air. The moment you press the heater button, we will get the hot air. How the hot air is coming? Is there any heater inside the car? No heater. Only the hot coolant, right? Before entering into the radiator, it will pass through the heater core. Heater core is also, it is having some fins over there, and inside we have a pipes. Inside the pipes, the hot coolant is passing. The moment you start the heater, the air is coming away from this one, means the air is coming from the heater core, thereby we are getting the hot air. Otherwise there is no heater coil or nothing. Only the heat means whenever remember, let us say due to the cooling system failures, let us say due to the coolant leakage, let us say if the engine is getting heated, let us say you feel that engine is getting heated, then at that time use the heater so that some of the amount of heat will be dissipated fastly, so that the engine may not heat at that fast. If you use heater, the engine will become cold, because before sending the hot coolant into the radiator, we are dissipating the heat. Clear? Purpose of heater core?
Yes, sir.
Right, now we will see in detail, right? So this is the what we call, this is the reservoir of the coolant. Okay, that is the reservoir of the coolant, and this is the radiator caps. This radiator caps also plays a major role. Radiator caps also plays a major role. Without somebody unmuted, Baba. Right. Okay, so is it is possible to drive the vehicle without this cap? Maybe you can run for some distance, and after that what will happen, the entire coolant will leaks. Okay, and if you see this radiator caps below, there are certain spring will be there. Anybody observed?
Yes, sir.
Right, so for the radiator cap there will be spring at the bottom, means, so what will happen is, if the pressure inside this radiator, if otherwise inside the cooling system, if the pressure exceeds the desired pressure, then it will be hazardous. At that time what will happen, this spring actuate the wall, it has certain wall, this radiator caps, therefore the excess pressure will be escaped outside. That is the reason when the engine is hot, it is very dangerous to open the radiator cap. Okay, so nobody will try to open this one when the engine is hot, right? So when the engine cools, then only we can open the radiator, because the pressure inside this one will flush the coolant outside, and that too very hot, so it may hurt the humans. Okay, that is the reason radiator cap cannot be opened when the engine is hot. Okay, so this is the reservoir. Whenever the coolant is not sufficient, the required coolant can be sucked from the this reservoir. At the same time, if there is an excess coolant is there, that will be rejected to this receiver tank reservoir. Okay, right, we will see what are the types and what are the parts of the cooling system. Okay, now we can see, this is the, what is this one, this is a reservoir for the coolant. Okay, and this is the radiator, this is the inlet hose to the engine, this is the outlet hose from the engine. Okay, so these are the beds and etc. Okay, now so here this cold coolant will go to the engine and it will absorb the heat, thereby the temperature will increase and its density will decrease, therefore it will float to the top, and this hot coolant will enter into the radiator. Again, this radiator is having some fins over there. Okay, at the back of the radiator there will be a fan. Okay, so through the fan, when the coolant is now, it has a tubes like this, copper tubes, right? So when the hot coolant is passing through the tubes, and from backside we are blowing the air, so this air will absorb the heat from this coolant, and thereby this coolant will be cooled, and that cold coolant can be again used for the cycle, right? Now, so this liquid is circulated around the cylinders and absorbs the heat from the cylinder walls and cylinder head. Okay, and this coolant absorbs the heat as it passes through the engine and also lubricates the water pump. So here this system, some cases this liquid cooling system, okay, so some of the systems are due to the relative density, they will work due to the relative density. Relative density means due to the difference of the density they will work. In some systems we are using some pumps to pump the coolant, right? So if the temperature need to be dissipated at faster rate, okay, so at that time we will go for the pressurized lubrication, pressurized cooling system, right? Pump cooling system. At that time we are using pump, and this coolant will also act as a lubricant for this pump, because it will pass through the pump and it will lubricate the parts. Okay, right. Now, this hot coolant enters the radiator, in which the heat is passed onto the air that is flowing through the radiator. As I told, at the back side there will be a fan, so that fan will blows the air, that air will take the heat from the coolant. Okay, now we can see clearly, it is 2D diagram, how the water cooling system, that is liquid cooling system, works. Right, now you can see there are 4 cylinders are there, 1 2 3 4, right? Surrounding the cylinders we have water jacket, right? Now, so water jacket means within that jacket the coolant will pass through, and this water should not enter into the engine cylinder. Once the water enters into the engine cylinder, it will seize the engine again. Okay, so means surrounding the cylinder there will be separate passage will be there. Within that passage the coolant will pass through. Okay, now you can see this is your radiator. So these are the tubes, radiator tubes, as I told, the copper tubes. Okay, over that we have fins over here. Over the tubes we have fins. You can't see tubes directly, you can see only fins. Okay, right. And this is the filler cap, nothing but radiator cap. This is the upper tank and this is the lower tank, right? So this is the drain tap to change the coolant. If you want to change the coolant, you need to open this drain tap, so that whatever the dust particles, because it is a lower portion of that what we call radiator, and all the foreign particles, anything dust particle present inside the coolant will be settled at the bottom, and the moment if you open the drain tap, so everything will be removed. Okay, now so the lower tank consists of cold coolant and upper tank consists of hot coolant, because it is coming from the engine. Okay, this cold coolant will go to the engine. Now you can see this is the water pump. This water pump is also driven by the engine crankshaft. Again, the water pump is also driven by the engine crankshaft. And there is one more device, you can see thermostat valve, right? So thermostat valve, the main purpose of thermostat valve is, right, so the moment you start the ignition, the moment you start the engine, immediately the cooling system will not work. The cooling system will not work immediately, because in our, right, why? Because the uniform heating of engine is required, right now. So first the engine needs to get heated, right? After that we need to remove the excess amount of heat generated, right? So that will be taken care by the thermostat valve, right? So what thermostat valve see that, so already inside the engine some coolant will be there every time, whether the cooling system working or not. So inside the engine cylinder, nothing but inside the water jacket, some coolant will be present, right? So the moment you start the engine, the water surrounding the engine cylinders will be get heated. Okay, right. So that water will start flowing like this, because the density will be less, right? Now this thermostat valve will be, so it will be, let us say, the temperature. You can see in refrigerators also we are using thermostats. Agree? Even in refrigerators also we are using thermostats. What is the purpose of thermostat? Tell me. What is the purpose of thermostat? There will be a knob. Even you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Let us say winter, here summer, like that they will written. This thermostat knob you can rotate like this and like this. What is the purpose of thermostat? To maintain the temperature inside the refrigerator. Yes sir, right? To maintain the temperature inside the refrigerator at required position, right? Let us say if it is winter, I want to maintain very less temperature. If it is summer, I need to maintain more temperature. At that time I need to rotate this knob to the clockwise direction. The more the number increases, the cooling will be more, right? So the same way here, the thermostat valve will be designed. Let us say if the temperature inside the engine cylinder is greater than 50 degrees centigrade, it will operate. Means it has right. So if the temperature inside the engine cylinder, if the coolant temperature is greater than 50 degrees centigrade, then only this valve will open. Otherwise what will happen? Simply bypass this liquid and directly that will be redirect to the engine cylinder. Let us say initially it will be room temperature 30, then it will go to the 40. At 40 degree it will not open directly, it will redirect the coolant to back to the engine. Again this 40 will go to 45. Again at 45 also it will not open. It simply again redirect back to the engine. Once the temperature reaches 50, then this valve will be open and the coolant, hot coolant, directly enters into the top of the radiator. Okay na, top of the radiator. And again it will be cooled by the, you can see this is the fan. This fan is also driven by the engine crankshaft. Okay, so this fan blows the air. So this air will absorb the heat and it will be dissipated. That's the reason if you see at the summer, if you stand besides the engine, let us say at the front wheels, especially front wheels, when the AC is on, you can feel very hot, because that is the reason. This air is blowing here and it will absorb more amount of heat while leaving from the radiator. So right. So these are the parts of the water cooling system. Okay na? So it consists of radiator, It consists of thermostat and it consists of water pump and fan, radiator fan. That's it. So these are the components of the water cooling system. So this water jackets around the cylinders. Okay, now. Right. What are the advantages and disadvantages? Right. So here cooling will be uniform because we are circulating the coolant surrounding all the cylinders, and specific fuel consumption will be more. Specific fuel consumption is improved. What is mean by specific fuel consumption? Anybody? In normal term.
Taking less fuel, sir.
Yeah, means
If
giving
it
more
is
giving
more
more
mileage.
mileage, right? Right. Again, I can say mileage is different. What we are talking is different, right? So generally, in our normal way, so whenever we buy a new car or buy a bike, our friends will ask what is the mileage? Yes or no? Right? So our human psychology will be it should give more mileage. Mileage is not, it is a consumption. Mileage is nothing but it is a odometer reading, the total number of kilometers the engine has run so far. That is called its mileage. Remember, mileage is different. You should ask what is the fuel consumption of your engine. Means how many kilometers per liter it will give. That is different. Mileage is different. But we are habituated. It is mileage. Mileage is nothing but it is the odometer reading. Total number of kilometers the engine has run. That is the mileage of the engine. Okay, na, right? So now whatever we are talking, that is the fuel consumption. So fuel consumption is nothing but amount of fuel required to generate 1 kilowatt power. In order to generate 1 kilowatt power, what is the mass of fuel required, right? So if the cooling is proper, then the specific fuel consumption means the number of kilometers per liter will also increase. Okay, and next, suppose if you are using air cooling system, the engine must and should locate at the front end of the vehicle. Yes sir, right? Because at the time only the incoming air will be sufficient to cool the engine. Whereas if you are using water cooling system, the engine need not to be located at the front. Even you can locate it at the back side also. It's not compulsory that we should install the engine at the back, at the front, because we are not using air. We are using only the water for the cooling purpose. Therefore, there may be option either we can use front engine or rear engine. That is the reason even you can see your nano car, the engine is at the rear side. Okay, that is because water cooling system. If it is air cooling system, we can't use the engine at the back side. It causes overheating of the engine. Okay, and one more advantage is it is less noisy as compared to the air cooled engine, as it has water for damping noise. The water will damp the noise. Okay, so these are the merits, and demerits are, it depends upon the water supply, that is coolant supply. It depends upon the coolant supply, and if the water pump fails, let us say if the coolant doesn't supply, if the cooling system fails, it results in damage of the engine. It will seize the engine. If you don't recognize the coolant pump fails, then it will damage the engine. It overheat the engine. It will burn the gaskets, everything. It will be major. It causes major problem to the vehicle. And the water cooling system is costlier as compared to the air cooling because it has more number of parts, because radiator is required, thermostat is required, pump is required, and hoses are required. Okay, and next heater core is required. So due to this, it will be costly as compared to the air cooling system. Now we'll see what are the different types of the water cooling system. Open jacket system, thermosiphon cooling system, and forced circulation cooling system, right? Open jacket system is nothing but we are sending the water to the engine, and we are not treating that hot water directly. We are releasing the hot water. Means it is used where the water availability is more, at the riverside, canals are there nearby, right? So basically we can use for the stationary systems. We can use for the stationary system, this type of cooling system, open jacket system, right? There is no radiator, nothing. Directly the water we are sending into the engine, and it will absorb the heat, and that hot water directly we are rejecting. Okay, right. So whereas in case of thermosiphon cooling system, right, here the circulation of coolant will be due to the density difference, due to the relative density of the fluids, the what we call the flow of the coolant will takes place. Whereas in forced circulation system, in order to takes place the flow, we are using the pump for the pumping, right? We'll see open jacket system. So here the system used where the plenty of water is available. Okay, so the water is supplied from large tank or the river through the inlet valve of the cooling water jacket. And the main specification of this system is that hot water is not cooled but simply discharged, because the water is available is more. Yes, right? So therefore we are using open jacket system. Clear? In open jacket system, there is no need of treating the water after absorbing the heat. Directly we can rejecting, right? So it is useful for only stationary vehicles. Okay, na? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Right. Next will be thermosiphon cooling system. Here the flow of the coolant will take place relative density of, right? As we know, the hot water is lesser denser compared to the cold water, right? So that is the main reason for working of this one, right? That is density different. The main advantage is simplicity and automatic circulation of water, because we are not using any pump. Due to the density difference, directly the coolant will be circulated. Okay, right. So here you can see there is no pump here. This is the inlet. So earlier if you see there is a pump over here, right? Now but here no pump. Here 4 cylinders are there surrounding the cylinders. Through the water jackets the coolant is circulated. So you can see the coolant is entering from the bottom of the engine, right? So it will absorb the heat, thereby it starts heating. Once it get heated, its density will decrease and it will float to the top. The hot fluid will be having lesser density, therefore through this hose it will enter into the radiator, and through the radiator tubes it will go down. You can see these are the fins of the radiator, and once the fan circulates the air, it will pass through the fins and radiator tubes, and this air will extract the heat from the coolant and it will become cold while flowing from top to bottom, and this cold coolant will be again circulated to the engine and the cycle is repeated. So this is the thermosiphon cooling system. It works based on the relative density of the coolant. That's it. Clear this one working?
Yes, sir.
Right. Next we have forced circulation system. Forced circulation, the only difference is here we are using pumps. Right now, so where we will use this one, this thermosiphon, right? So thermosiphon will be used for lighter vehicles, right? Thermosiphon will be used lighter vehicle. If you see some autos, that two steering autos, can you only three wheels are there, but there will be a steering for to drive. Can you see? I think these are available near LB Nagar, Hayat Nagar, like that. Some black colored one, black and yellow colored. Have you seen?
Yes, sir.
I think these are force manufacturer, I think. Okay, so these are force manufacturer like Tufan company, force manufacturer. They will use this type of system. Okay, because the cooling is the heat will be very less as compared to heavy engines. The speed of the vehicles also very less. Therefore, this thermosiphon cooling system works to serve the purpose. Whereas in case of forced circulation system, here we are sending the water through the water pump. Means with by high pressured coolant, means coolant rate will be more, right? Now this is the radiator, this is the drain cock to drain. It is not a tap, there will be bolt will be there, nut and bolt arrangement. Okay, right. So now this is, let us say for understanding sake, only single cylinder is taken, and this is the connecting rod, this is the water jacket. So right, this coolant water is entered at the bottom and it will float to the top. The moment it goes upward direction, it will absorb the heat from the engine cylinder, and what will happen, it will float to the top. And you can see now here thermostat is there. If the temperature is not less than the desired temperature, it not open, simply it will bypass the coolant. Again the cycle will repeat, right? Once the desired temperature reaches, then the coolant will go to the radiator, otherwise it will recirculated within the cylinder. That is the main purpose of thermostat. Thermostat will take care of the temperature inside the engine cylinder. Overcooling of engine is also dangerous again, right? Now the moment you start the engine, if the coolant system starts working, means it will overcool the engine. Therefore, we are using thermostat, right? Thermostat is required for all the cars, because otherwise it will overcool the engine. We'll see what written. The system is used in large number of automobiles like cars, tractors, even heavy trucks. Here the flow of water from radiator to the water jackets is assisted by coolant pump. Right. So these are the components we already studied: water pump, radiator, fan, water jackets, thermostat valve, and storage tank. You can see one by one the part. So this is the radiator, right? So this is the radiator cap, right? And this there is a some opening. It is connected to reservoir. It is connected to coolant reservoir, and this is connected to engine inlet, the top bottom, and it is connected to outlet of the engine. From outlet of the engine, the coolant will go. Now inside backside of this fins, there will be a tubes will be there, copper tubes. Within the tubes, they are again interconnected. Within the tubes, the coolant will go, hot coolant, and these are the fins. From the backside, we are blowing the air through the fan, thereby the coolant will be cooled, right? So the radiators are nothing but heat exchangers used to transfer the thermal energy, nothing but heat energy from one medium to other medium. So here the from which medium, from liquid medium to the air medium. Yes sir, right? So we are rejecting the heat. Now backside of the radiator, you can see this is a shroud of a fan, right? So this is the fan, radiator fan, right now, right? So when this rotates, what will happen? It will throws the air through the fins. Okay, so then by the heat exchange will take. Now you can see this is the radiator, this is the radiator cap, right? This is the thermostat valve, right? So here it is also spring operated. It is also spring operated. Okay, so its job is to block the flow of the coolant to the radiator until the engine has warmed up to the desired level. That is the purpose of thermostat valve. Okay, so this is the closed position and this is the open position. When the closed position, during the closed position, directly it will bypass the coolant. During open position only, it will send the hot coolant to the radiator. Right, so these are the water jackets surrounding the engine cylinder. You can see this is the coolant. This is the coolant. So within this water jackets, the coolant will circulate. Right, again one more thing is antifreeze mixture, very important, right? So here we are using coolant, right? What is the purpose of coolant?
To reduce heat.
Right, usually in an engine we are mixing 50-50. 50% of coolant is mixed with 50% of water. Why? Because the water freezing temperature is 0 degrees centigrade. The water boiling temperature is 100 degrees centigrade. 100 degrees centigrade. Let us say in colder countries, let us say the temperature may go for -5 degrees centigrade. If you are using only water as a coolant, right? So in Western countries, in cold countries, if you use water, what will happen at 0 degrees centigrade? It will become ice. Thereby, the engine will not work, right? So in order to overcome this problem, we are using coolant. Okay, so this coolant is having freezing point less than 0 degree and boiling point greater than 100 degrees centigrade, right? So that is the reason antifreeze mixers are added to the cooling water. These antifreeze mixers are having low freezing point and high boiling point. Okay, so the liquids are ethylene glycol, propylene glycol, organic acid technology, hybrid organic acid technology. These are the antifreeze mixers we can add with the coolant, right? So because engine coolant is a mixture of water and antifreeze. Antifreeze is nothing but your coolant. Okay, so water has a boiling of 100 degrees centigrade and freezing at 0 degrees centigrade at atmospheric condition. Okay, but engine coolant having higher boiling and lower freezing point than the water. The exact boiling and freezing depends upon the mixture. Generally we recommend 50/50, right? If it is 5 liters capacity, 2.5 liter coolant is mixed with 2.5 liters of, again not normal water, right? It is distilled water we need to use. If you use normal water, what will happen? It will form the corrosion. It will start corrosion and salt will be formed inside the tubes of the radiator and radiator tubes are blocked. Okay, so that is the reason we will use only distilled water for the coolant. Okay, so this is about the cooling systems. Any doubts in this one, students?
Sure.
Right,
No, sir.
right. Now we'll go for the lubrication system. Right, so lubrication system, right? So what is the purpose of lubrication? Tell me, what is the purpose of
Sure.
lubrication?
Decrease.
To avoid wear and tear of engine parts.
Right. So the lubricating oil, right? So the lubricating oil is used to reduce the friction. It not only for reducing the friction, it also carries certain amount of heat. It also carries heat, and it also carries any carbon deposits present over the piston, connecting rod, crankshaft, camshaft, right? So due to the wear and tear, any carbon particles present inside the engine cylinder, it will carries the carbon particles, and it also act as a cushioning. It will give cushioning action, shock absorber, cushioning action to the crankshaft. When the engine load on the engine is more, we will throttle more, right now. At that time, more force will be dissipated to the crankshaft. At that time, this lubricant we are using, so right in between the bearings, the lubricant will be there. It will act as a cushioning or shock absorber action, right now. So these are the some of the functions of lubricating oil. Okay, the main purpose is to reduce the friction between the relative motion parts. Wherever there is, so where lubrication is required, where there is a relative motion, where there is a relative motion means one part is moving relative to other part. Maybe one is fixed, other is moving. Wherever there is relative motion is there, there may be chances of heat generation due to the friction, right? So if you don't lubricate that parts, wear and tear will be takes place, and you need to replace the parts, right? So it will be costly affair. Therefore, we need to lubricate the parts, right? Because there will be a relative motion, right? The purpose is to reduce the friction by creating a thin film between the moving parts, right? So wherever there are moving parts, there should be clearance, right? So let us say if the piston diameter is 10 and if cylinder diameter is 10, this if cylinder is 10 and piston is 10, this piston will not fit directly into the cylinder, right? So this may be 9.99. There will be small clearance between the piston and cylinder. In that clearance, the lubricating oil will enter, and it will act as a lubricant. Okay, and it also seals, right? So the oil forms seals between the piston rings and cylinder walls, right? Now it also act as a seal. And if internal oil leak will result in blue smoke at the pipe. Let us say if the piston rings are worn out, if the piston rings are worn out, the clearance between cylinder and piston will increase, right? At that time, there may be chances of entering these gases. So these are the high pressure, high temperature gases, right? So when there is a clearance, there may be chances of entering these gases into the crankcase. What will be present inside this crankcase?
Oil.
Very good.
Engine oil.
Lubricating oil. Lubricating oil, right? So there may be chances of gases entering into the lubricating oil, or there may be chances of this lubricating oil enter into the combustion chamber, right? So when this oil burns inside the engine cylinder, it will give blue smoke, right? So in diesel engines, we can observe two types of smoke: blue smoke and black smoke. Which is dangerous, blue or black?
Blue.
Blue is dangerous, right? So you know the reason why blue smoke is coming means the lubricating oil may be getting leaked into the combustion chamber and it is burning along with the air fuel mixture. When we will get the black smoke? Especially we can observe for diesel vehicles. You can observe for diesel, anyone, because everyone is driving cars nowadays. When you will get the black smoke? Tell me, when we will get the black smoke? See, again this smoke will come if you accelerate suddenly. Yes or no? If you accelerate suddenly, then only you will get the smoke. Otherwise, less smoke will be coming, but it is not that much intensity, right? So black smoke will be observed when if you accelerate suddenly, right? Within no time, right? So what will happen the moment you accelerate, right? So what will happen? More amount of diesel fuel will be accumulated within the engine cylinder, right? So that much diesel we should burn. For that, the air present inside may not sufficient. The air present inside the engine cylinder is not sufficient to burn the diesel injected into the engine cylinder, because more amount of diesel is injected because of throttling, because of accelerating suddenly, more amount of diesel fuel is accumulated, and whatever the air present inside the engine cylinder is not sufficient to burn that complete diesel. Therefore, some amount of diesel will be escaped without burning or partial burning. That is the reason we are getting black smoke. Okay, na? Again, I will give one more example. I think everyone know about the campfire. Let us say this is the wet grass. Right now, let us say we are igniting at the top. Let us say we are giving some spark, right? So now what will happen? Tell me. Layer by layer it starts burning. Yes or no? First top layer will be burned. After that bottom layer. After that bottom layer. Why? Tell me. Students?
Yes,
Students,
sir.
are you there? Right. Why it is burning layer by layer? Because the air is present, the air is available for only for the top layer. In order to takes place combustion, oxygen or air is required. Yes or no? Without oxygen, we cannot burn. Right? That is the reason. Right? So first top layer will be burned, then the air is in contact with the next layer. Like that, it will come layer by layer. In the same way, means here what I mean to say that in order to takes place burning or combustion, air is must and should. Without air, if you use diesel, complete diesel, it won't burn at all. Okay, na? So the black smoke means it indicates the incomplete combustion. It indicates incomplete combustion. Even you can see some black carbon will also come out of the silencer. That is the improper burning of the diesel, right? And we can see this is the shaft and this is the bearing. In between we have this black colored one is the oil film, right? This is the thickness of the oil film. It acts as a cushioning effect. It gives cushioning effect to the crankshaft. This is the shaft. When the load on the engine is more, it gives the cushioning action. Okay, it will cleanse that, right? Now some whatever the carbon particles present inside, it will collect and it will dump to the bottom crankcase, right? It will, some amount of heat will be carried by the lubricant also, some, right? And it absorbs the sacks under heavy loads. Okay, and any contaminants present inside the engine, it will collect it, right? And those are the functions of the lubricating oil. Now we will see what are the types of the lubricating systems. We have petrol or mist lubrication system. Petrol or mist lubrication. Second one is the auto lube. Third one is the splash. Fourth one is the pressure lubrication system. In the pressure we have wet sump and dry sump. Okay, we have in pressure we have wet sump and dry sump. Okay, now petrol or mist lubrication system used in two-stroke engines where there is no dedicated crankcase, where there is no lubrication system, means, right, where there is no separate lubrication system. At that time we are using petrol or mist lubrication system. In this system we are mixing the lubricating oil with the petrol. In this system we are mixing the lubricating oil with the petrol, and that lubricating oil will be used as the lubricant, and it will reduce the friction between the parts. So there will be disadvantages because we are burning the lubricating oil in the engine cylinder. It not only produces the pollution, right now, right, there are certain other disadvantages, right? It will give smoke. Okay, that creates the pollution, and we are burning the lubricating oil within the engine cylinder, right? It will what will happen due to that? Carbon will be deposited within the engine cylinder and over the piston crown, and it will seize the movement of the piston. That is petrol or mist lubrication system. Whereas in case of auto lube system, in auto lube system it is also two-stroke engine. It is also a two-stroke engine, but here there will be dedicated space for pouring the lubricating oil. Means in this system, in auto lube system, we are not mixing the lubricating oil with the petrol. Though it is two-stroke engine, we are not mixing the lubricating oil. There will be a chamber for lubricating oil, right? And directly this lubricating oil will be injected into the engine cylinder again, right? So this lubricating oil will be again injected into the engine cylinder through the nozzles, depends upon the speed of the engine. So right here also we are burning the oil, thereby we are getting the smoke. Here also there will be problem of carbon deposits inside the cylinder or the piston, and it will block the passage of the piston. So means we can see this one, Kinetic Honda and Suzuki Samurai. There will be, though the both are two-stroke engine, there will be separate what we call chamber for the lubricating oil. Okay, and next will be splash and pressure feed. They will use for the four-stroke engine. I will explain with help of figures, right? So this mist or petrol, other name for mist is petrol. This lubrication system where crank lubrication is not suitable. Right now, in two-stroke engine, as the charge is compressed in crankcase, it is not possible to have lubrication on the oil in the sump. Okay, hence mist lubrication is used in practice. Okay, so in this one, the lubricating oil is mixed in proportion 2 to 5% of the petrol. Okay, 2 to 5% of the petrol. Oil and fuel mixture is inducted through the carburetor, right? So from the carburetor, what will happen? The fuel will become vaporized, and oil in the form of mist will go to the crankcase into the engine cylinder. Okay, the oil which strikes the crankcase walls lubricates the main and connecting rod and bearings, and rest of the oil lubricates the piston ring, cylinder, camshaft if it is there. Okay, so this is about mist lubrication system. The advantages is simplicity, low cost because it does not require any oil pump or oil filter. Okay, but disadvantages are it causes smoke and it is a pollution, and it deposits what will happen? It forms deposits on the piston crown and exhaust port, which affects the engine efficiency. Right, it requires thorough mixing for effective lubrication. This requires either separate mixing prior to use of some of the additives. Right, and one more thing is, if the engine is in idle condition, what is meant by idle condition? What is meant by idle condition?
Stationary vehicle.
Means engine is on but vehicle is in rest position, right? So the throttle is in closed position almost. We didn't operated any throttle or accelerated, right? At that condition is called idle condition. During this idle condition, what will happen? Right? This is which system we are discussing? We are discussing mist lubrication system, right? So if you don't accelerate, what will happen? The engine suffers from insufficient lubrication as the supply is very less. If you operate, then only the fuel supply will be more. Otherwise, right, through the idle port, very less amount of fuel will be admitted for just only for running the engine. Now, just for start the engine, not for moving the vehicle. If you throttle or if you accelerate, then only more amount of fuel will be admitted and lubrication will be sufficient. Okay, this is the limitation of the system. What is the main limitation? During closed throttle, closed throttle is nothing but idle condition, right? In case of, let us say, vehicle is moving down the hill. When the vehicle is moving down the hill, need not to accelerate. If you don't accelerate, what will happen? The lubrication is not sufficient. That is about the mist system. And next will be auto lube system. So this is also used in two-stroke engine, but oil is stored in a separate tank. Okay, a nozzle sprays directly into the crankcase in every stroke. It is more efficient than mist lubrication system and used in Kinetic Honda, Yamaha RX100, right? So there will be separate chamber for the lubricating oil. Okay, so with this I'll stop today, right? And to my next class I'll discuss splash and pressurized system. Do you find differences between auto lube and mist system? Mist versus auto lube, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Right, that is very important. You should not get confused. Auto lube system and mist system, both are used for the two-stroke engines only.